Beyond.
2010.
Welcome to Podcast Beyond, episode 120. If you add a 0 in there and remix the numbers, you get 2010. It's the first episode. Let's see how that happens.
That's weird, man.
First episode, 2010.
Some people say there's no such thing as fate and destiny.
That's exactly what this is. We when we started doing this show, 2.5 years ago, we planned to make sure that we hit 120 at the beginning of January 2010.
Hard.
It was hard to do that. We had to skip doing it at one time during GDC, and then we had to rename. I don't know. Anyway, we did it. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's still early in the year, and I've only had a little bit of coffee. Let's get right into the show with the Roper Report. What?
Intros?
All right, Ryan
It's
Clements.
the new year.
That's right. Ryan Clements, how's it going?
I'm here. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Great.
Hey,
Greg Miller.
Whoa. Hey.
Huh.
Hey.
What happened?
2010, brother.
There you are. Colin Moriarty.
Live simple.
That's
I'm
simple.
here.
That's your motto for 2010?
And also my resolution. Yeah.
Ooh, let's do that real fast. Colin, what's your 2010 resolution, if you have one?
No, actually, I had 4, but they were. It was just to pay less attention to politics, read more fiction instead of nonfiction, be in better touch with my family, and exercise and eat better.
What a
So
nerd.
basically,
God.
you're trying to turn
Nerd.
into Richard Gere.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Ryan, what's your
Actually, I'm
resolution?
sharing one of Colin's resolutions. I am going to be jogging pretty much every day now. I just went with Clayman last night. I'm going to get back up to my peak, my physical peak, and get tattoos at some point.
Oh, okay.
That's my other big resolution this year.
Greg?
Continue to dominate Colin Moriarty in trophies. Everybody, I pulled ahead, so it was awesome. Break,
Yeah.
I went nowhere, and Colin went home like a dope and saw his family. I sat on the couch and grew a beard and pulled way ahead in trophy count.
Yeah, man, you're good. You're good. I'm level 13, 14% now. You're like what in the 50s now? 50%?
No, I'm 60. I'm flat 6 now. I
my
don't
God.
want to jinx myself because I'm getting pretty excited about it, but I'm in striking distance of Sam Bishop. I can
Yeah,
see him.
that's-
I can get him. I can catch him.
I got a lot of work to do.
I just got to, ignore everyone.
Right.
And play some games.
My resolution for 2010 is to finally record and release an album. So that's my
Cool. That'd be awesome.
Like something metal.
Folk.
We'll see.
folk.
I know. I have no direction. It's let's see where it goes.
Okay,
So
cool.
I got all year to try to do it. Now, Ryan, with your permission, we'll get into the Rope Report. Is
You
that fine?
absolutely have my permission.
There we go. Let's do it. I like that one. It's laid back. You got the smooth groove going. We're January 6th now. Coming back over the break, there's not really much to talk about. CES just happened. Greg's writing something on my paper. It's hard to read upside down. So the stuff out of CES is that, let me see.
Just this part. I'm helping you. I'm
Okay.
writing my own news at the bottom.
I see. I'll get to that. So at CES, Sony has Gran Turismo, a demo of some sort, but GT5.
Yeah. Levi Buchanan played it.
Yeah, and Super Stardust HD are both in 3D. Their big thing was Sony's press conference, which was boring as hell.
I heard. But Taylor Swift was there, everybody.
Wait, really?
In 3D
Yeah, she was.
on the stage, apparently.
Oh.
I don't know. It was
Yeah, she sang.
She was one of those CNN holograms.
Yeah. Anyway,
Wolfster moved her around on the giant board.
but anyway, Sony was like, yeah, we're going to update the PS3 so it supports 3D Blu-ray movies and games, which is old news.
Oh.
But one thing that was kind of interesting that came out of this is that, everybody that's listening now will have a PS3, I assume, or some people don't, I guess.
Yeah,
but
a lot of people say that.
Yeah, a lot of people say they don't have one.
Yeah, I guess
They
that's
just
true.
like
but,
you, Roper.
Sony is taking your PlayStation Network ID and all of the content, or all the movies and stuff that you get off there, and expanding it to other Sony devices.
Oh, about time.
So
Hey, look at that.
Next month, for example, you'll be able, if you have a internet-connected Bravia, you can watch movies and such that you've purchased on there. And then, eventually you'll be able to do it on, Windows PCs and stuff like that. I'm unclear if you have to have a VIO, but I don't understand. You'd be able to run it on anything that ran Windows. And then they also announced like a little dash. I think it's just called the dash. It's this little like touch internet. It's sort of like a tablet, but not really. Anyway, and I think that they're mentioning that it'll go to that. The idea is that you use your one PSN ID, you log in, and if you have a Bravia and you make your ID on that, when you get your PS3, you type in the same thing. It's all one thing, and your movies work everywhere, and you can watch your content anywhere you go, which is pretty cool.
Excellent.
Yeah. Apparently, the Indy Racing League is coming to Gran Turismo 5. I don't care about Indy cars, but it's more content. Metal Slug XX is coming to the PSP on February 23rd for $20.
Wow.
Cool. Metal Slug's fun.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, Greg, what he has written on the paper is that the Grand Theft Auto 4 world record has been broken.
Yes, a lot. I've been getting a lot of Facebook and emails about this. If anybody remembers, a couple months ago now, Colin, some crazy kid in India set the GTA world record, but it was only 40 hours straight.
Right.
And I said, "That's nothing. I can beat that. Don't worry. I'll blah blah blah." So this kid out in Tennessee, a Clarksville student, 19-year-old. Austin P. State University honor student. His name is David Shearer. Broke the world record, and I think was still playing last I heard. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's on, Greg." Blah, blah. They're missing the point that I was just saying. 1, 40 hours was nothing, and 2, I wanted to bring the record back to America. This kid already did it, so I don't need to worry about it anymore. I'm not going to challenge this kid. Good for him. I'm glad it's back in the States. Colin's with me. High five, America.
Yeah.
And, I've started kicking around other world records to chase. I will be breaking a world record. I don't want to say, though, because then you'll go out and try to break it before I break it.
Right.
Is it game related, though?
Yes, it is. Oh, yeah, it's game related.
Do you think this kid was a Beyond listener and that's why he did it?
No, I bet it's the same thing. 40 hours. I can do that.
Who in
Come
the
on.
United States doesn't listen to Beyond, though? That's really
That's
the
true.
question.
That's a good point. If he listens, he should write in. Go ahead. We'll say hey to you. Good job.
Well, that's the news.
Beyond news is over.
I saw yesterday that something that might intrigue you. Didn't the Gran Turismo 5 box art get released? Didn't you see that?
Yeah, but I can't. Okay, so the box art was shown, has the Mercedes-Benz SLS AMG on it. It's cool. It's not something you can really see on the show, so.
Right.
But anyway,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I thought that was just exciting for Chris
It's a
Rober.
beautiful
It's a fun
cover.
little tidbit.
I want to get it as a poster, but
It's a little tidbit.
Yeah,
People can go Google
We're getting
it now.
closer and closer to the release.
I know.
I know you're excited. You and Mark Ryan.
I'm exploding in my chair right now. You can't see it. Very slowly.
Sounds like a medical condition.
It's very slowly. So by the time that we hit March, April, May, whenever it comes out in the U.S., I will be fully exploded. Right now, particles are starting to shift apart in my body.
You're gonna get a platinum on that one, I imagine.
Oh, I don't know.
Just by default.
If one of the trophies is collect all 1,000 cars, then no, I will never get it. But
That would be a crazy one.
Yeah, we'll see.
And
what
not
it is.
worth it.
It's a bronze.
So let's, Greg. Now I know that it's kind of a slow time of the year, but 2010 actually the first quarter has a lot of games coming out.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, the thing though is if I'm say driving in my car and I'm listening to the show on my iPod, I don't have access to the internet, and I shouldn't be using my iPhone to look at the internet while I'm driving my car. But maybe right now, I wanted to know what games are coming out this week that I could
What
buy.
would you do if your car transformed? All right, I have the official IGN list of software. But 3 platforms with the editors of IGN. We're including some stuff here that's old. PS3 gets Darksiders, Bayonetta, and Guitar Hero Van Halen. PS2 gets Guitar Hero Van Halen, and PSP gets nothing.
Yeah.
And Ryan,
Should we
what's
move
on
over
the
to the digital
what's on the
side?
digitals?
Here's the digitals.
Didgeroo.
We got Matt Hazard, Bloodbath, and Beyond as a downloadable game on the PS3, which Damon actually liked. He said it's very much superior to the retail release.
It's a side-scrolling action game.
Side-scrolling shooter like Contra.
It's really funny
it is,
looking, but it's too expensive.
Little,
15 bucks for that?
$15
It's
for
too
that.
much.
A little too much, but still. Core Episode 20. Woo! Borderlands, the Underdome DLC is going to be available. There's also demos for Matt Hazard and Dark Void. We have Pixel Junk Shooter theme and wallpaper. Whoa! We also have Bomberman Land for the PSP, which I actually think I reviewed a really long time ago. Dungeon Explorer for the PSP. We also have some Buzz Quiz World for PSP add-ons and quiz packs. There's an episode of Pulse available, and there are a ton of Rock Band songs. With that said, I think it is very safe to say that Bayonetta is the pick of the week because it is the best thing of all time.
Ryan, hold your.
Oh, wait a second. Yeah, wait.
Hold on.
Whoa,
No,
wait.
Hold your opinion on the PS3 version of Bayonetta in case you're about to mention something about. We have a question in reader mail. We'll come back to that one.
Okay. Fair enough. Actually, you know what?
That's what I'm saying.
I might. Maybe I would do Darksiders.
I know. That's what
PS3
I'm
one.
thinking. I thought it was gonna be Bayonetta 2, but then I remember that Ryan hates the PS3 and hates games.
Hey,
no,
now
but
hold
for
on.
real, the
Not all
Bayonetta
about-
PS3 doesn't run well. Can you give it pick of the week status?
Mm-hmm.
You said you wouldn't recommend it to anybody.
Yeah. So let's. I guess I can't make the pick of a week a 360 game. So
Yeah.
gonna have to go with
Darksiders.
Darksiders, I guess.
Oh
on
my
that
God.
One. That's
Now
disappointing.
wait. Okay. Well, we'll come back to that in a second. I just want to. You just said that you wouldn't recommend Bayonetta to anybody on the PS3.
I said that, and Ryan agreed.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm hesitantly agreeing. That's not.
Now, he
that's
said
not
yes.
quite right.
But you're saying you wouldn't recommend it at all if you only have a PS3, Or if you have the 360, you would every time say get the 360.
I would every time say get the 360. Like,
but if you don't have a 360, we'll come back.
Still
to
get
this.
it anyway.
I just wanted to clarify that statement before I forgot it, but we'll come back to that.
Even if you don't have a 360, buy the 360 version anyway.
Yeah.
It'll run. Just put it in there.
Just sitting on the table.
Yeah. So, trophy tips. Do we got any?
I have a trophy tip. I have a trophy tip. And it has to do with a $5 game called Frogger Returns, I believe it's called, and it came out on PSN.
I don't think Damon was a big fan of that
No,
one.
he wasn't, but here's the thing about that
I like
game.
where this is going.
For $5, you can download it and you play on Quick Play.
Uh-huh.
And there's 4 stages, a silver and 3 golds in about 15 or 20 minutes. $5, is it worth it?
That reminds
me.
Since we just got out of the holiday season,
You tell me.
I think we should try to get the rights to this thing. But if you watch the Rudolph special and they got the snowman guy, and he's singing the silver and gold song, that reminds me of that one. If we could get that one as like the intro to the trophy tips,
that'd be sweet.
Silver and gold. All that, man,
That's all you needed to do.
there it is.
All right, I got a quick one too here,
All right,
and it's actually it's an attack here on Colin Moriarty.
No.
Way back in the day, during a trophy tip segment, somebody asked about Jurassic the Hunted.
Right.
And if it was a good platinumer.
Right.
And you said it was lots of good trophies, but you weren't going to go for the platinum.
Right.
I think that was crazy talk. It's an easy, awesome platinum. The game is a great bad B movie to begin with.
Yeah,
but
it is
then,
bad.
like, what was your knock on not going for the platinum?
I didn't. I needed to get a silver to use all the weapons, and I wasn't sure what weapon I didn't use. So nothing tells you.
Yeah.
So I was like,
You have to play through it again. Did you play through it again?
Yeah, I played it twice.
Okay.
And I still had a few stages too where I didn't.
You died.
Yeah, I died.
But
whatever.
but like that, you can just look at the skull on the little thing and be done with
Yeah,
it.
that's not a big deal. That game was really bad, dude.
No.
Like, I don't know if I can play through it a third time.
Have you played Rogue Warrior?
Yeah, I played Rogue Warrior too.
Rogue Warrior is really bad.
And I told you a trophy tip on that is I played through it on Elite, and the trophies didn't stack. So that's why.
I know, terrible.
So that's why I never went back to that game. That game was really
bloody
bad.
awful. Yeah, I made the mistake over Christmas break of starting that with Jim and random people who came to my house, and I was like, well, I definitely want the most I can get out of it, so I did it on the hardest difficulty. Impossible. It's like. It's crazy how much crap is in between you and the checkpoints. And you die, you get sent all the way back, all the way. It's terrible.
Yeah, the game was frustrating on Elite because it took me maybe 3 times longer than the game probably should have.
Yeah. And, then I've played it since then on normal just because I was killing time at someone's house and dominated it.
Yeah,
I was like, oh,
a lot of the problem with that is that the game doesn't control well. So you can't. Aiming is like the game is so easy in the beginning. Like you run into the like maybe 8 or 10 or 15 enemies with all their backs turned and stuff. But then at the end of the game, it's a total wash, man. I agree. That game is not worth anyone's time.
Yep. Well.
Well.
That's it. That's all the trophy tips I think I have.
Now, Greg,
Yeah, buddy.
did you want to talk about something that you and Colin and other people in the office have been discussing, or is that being held for later?
Right now it's in the planning stages.
I see.
I think if I'm correct, I think an email just went out about it, recruiting other people. We should probably wait until everything's ironed out.
Yeah.
And we have a set thing.
But there's a big surprise coming up.
Related to the things that we were just talking about.
Yeah.
That's basically what's going
It's
on.
going to be
Okay.
fun. It'll be good.
Maybe there could be a reader element involved.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'd like that.
Maybe we
We'll
can
see if
see.
we can do that.
Yeah.
Next week maybe we'll talk
Although,
about it.
yeah.
Yeah, next week for sure.
Now.
For Sheezy. All right, see you next week. Remember to follow us on tweets at the bees.
Time for the topic of the week.
Gotten less crazy over the break.
It's been building up. Imagine just me on a Thursday talking to Portillo while playing Jurassic Hunted, growing a beard. That was my vacation.
Like Portillo was turned into a furry little boat, and we're riding on a river of cheese.
I like that. I like it a lot.
That was my favorite quote of Greg's.
Those were the days.
For topic of the week now. CES is going on right now, and I am very happy that I'm not there. I did my time at CES a couple times, and but
I did my time.
Ryan, you've been to CES, right?
I don't think so. No,
Oh,
is it terrible?
Has anybody in this room been
No,
to CES?
we've never. No.
No.
You are the luckiest people of all time. That show is. If you can just walk in there and look around and see what's there and not have to do any work, it's fine. If you have to work the show, especially if you're covering, gadgets and gear and stuff like that, like I used to do, it is a nightmare. Because the show, you go inside and the hall is so long you can't see the other side of the hall, right? And it at one point took me 15 to 20 minutes to get from one side of one area to the other because there's so many people and there's so much crap and it's so long that I remember the first year that I went there, I was like, ooh, I'm going to schedule an appointment on the half hour and then I'll leave a half hour break so I can see other stuff. and then I'll schedule the next thing, for the next hour, and it would take me at least a half hour to get between appointments because it's so terrible in there.
Sounds awesome.
I would still be late even with a half hour.
Where does the show take place
It's
again?
in Vegas.
In Vegas, all right.
The building's so big it actually curves with the earth.
Yes, I believe that this is true. Ivan Sulich went to CES one year, went outside to have a smoke or something like that. This was many, many years ago, but walked outside the building. The door locked behind him, and I think he said it took him like 45 minutes to walk around the building to get back inside. It is not a small place.
Help me! Let me back in.
That's awesome.
Anyway, but the thing that's going on at CES related to Sony, Microsoft had some announcements or whatever, but the thing that's going on with Sony and media in general is 3D is kind of the big thing. You're going to get 3D movies coming to Blu-ray and PS3 and all that kind of stuff, and then 3D games. Like I said, Super Stardust HD and Gran Turismo were being shown. We've seen 3D games last year at GDC. They were being shown. They had MotorStorm and Prologue and a couple other things were shown there. So we'd figure we'd visit the topic. Now, one thing that kind of makes this a little bit relevant for people to have probably experienced this very recently is Avatar was in 3D. Has anybody here in the room seen Avatar
I
in
haven't
3D?
seen it yet.
Yes,
You've
I
not
have.
seen, Greg, did you watch it? No. You're missing out. You should go see it.
What'd you think, Ryan?
I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
It's very
Very
I
good.
want
good.
to get to it.
It's very
I said
fun.
so many great games to play.
Yeah,
It's very fun.
The thing, I'm kind of surprised, but you can see Avatar not in 3D. I guess that's for money purposes, but make sure you go see it in 3D. It's pretty
Poor
awesome.
people.
Yeah.
So the 3D stuff has been announced. Now, before we kind of get to opinions or whatever, let me mention here that the Blu-ray standard is real D. Right, so which in theaters is mostly what you're going to see if you go, unless you're seeing IMAX, is mostly what you're going to see with Avatar. So it has just plastic glasses that are passive. The screen does all the work. You don't have batteries in your glasses or whatever. At home, that's not the case. You have to have glasses with batteries in them, and you have to have a receiver that makes the glasses shutter. I don't know if it's going to hurt your eyes or whatever. So your glasses have to charge. Levi was playing him at the show, so that they were heavy on his head. After a couple of minutes, you could feel like the pressure on his nose.
Yeah.
Sounds kind of like a disaster. Granted, it's early stuff, so maybe they're going to shrink it down, make batteries smaller, whatever. It's hard to say how
Wait,
final
when
that
you
was.
said
but
it shutters, what happens?
the lenses turn on and off alternately. So what happens is like the left. Your left eye turns off so you can see with your right eye, and then the TV at the exact same time is showing the picture that it wants your right eye to see. Then your left eye will open, your right eye will close, and then the picture shows the left image, and then it goes back and forth.
This is doesn't Jeff have the PC
He does.
3D that's doing all this too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, same deal, exact same thing. Yeah, NVIDIA's tech works. So far as I know, same concept. I don't know if the details are the same concept. Anyway, for me, and we'll get to other parts about this, but for me, the concept of 3D, and I think a lot of people are the same way, is that especially having to have glasses you have to charge or whatever, if you're in the middle of a movie and they run out, you're screwed. You have to pause it and wait. Or if you're trying to watch a movie with 5 people and you don't have 5 glasses, it doesn't work. Or probably one of them is not charged, so that's not going to work. That's kind of a nightmare. But the other night, I'm sitting at home and I'm working, and my wife is watching some stuff on TV, and I'm just sitting at my table and I'm looking between my computer and I'm typing, and then I glance at the TV and I'm going back and forth. If she can't really watch a 3D movie like that, or I can't do that because I'm not going to sit there and work with 3D glasses on, and then keep looking up at the TV. And if I'm not wearing them, then I can't see. So that makes that. So you can't use it for casual viewing. So this is more of a very high end or very dedicated viewing experience, and which is fine. I'm all for that. This is not the sort of thing where. Unless you are investing in time and where like a home theater enthusiast, I don't think that it's going to be that crazy of a deal. Gaming is the same sort of way. Greg, you're fiddling with glasses now. What is your take on this thing?
I think this is the dumbest thing ever. This is stupid. I don't know why people are so excited to do this. What is so good about 3D? Nothing. It hurts your eyes. It doesn't look real because you're moving your head around. You're putting things are going. I hate 3D.
Yeah.
I've always hated 3D. I'm so upset to see this making some kind of comeback, and it's in this like giant tech arena too, where it's like. This isn't just like the throwaway glasses that come with comics or something. This is something people are going to invest money in, so it's at least going to be around a couple of years until everybody thinks it sucks and nobody buys it.
Yeah, no one's going to buy it probably anyway.
Now here's the thing: is
Die.
Ryan, let me ask you your take on 3D right now, since
Yeah.
you actually saw Avatar.
So I think it's great that you can go to a theater where it's like, and actually like you have the glasses, you don't need to charge everything, everything's taken care of you, you're in a sedentary
The
position.
same cost. You have no additional cost.
Yeah, everything's good. you're going out to like do it so that everything's taken care of for you. You don't have to set up anything. That's the way 3D is done. I liked going to Avatar, and they pass out glasses to you, and you just sit there and you enjoy it. And yeah, I think it took about maybe 10-15 minutes for my eyes to get used to it, and after that I was totally fine for the entire like 2.5 hour movie. And I took the glasses off afterwards. I didn't have a headache or anything.
Yeah.
But in terms of the games, I'm sorry. I agree with Greg. It's the dumbest. Like, I already have to wear glasses, so putting glasses on top of my glasses is not only the dorkiest thing of all time. It's uncomfortable. And then at home, I already, when I wear headphones, like I plug it into a receiver on my TV,
right.
And I have like an extension cord, and then my headphones on. I don't want to have 2 pairs of glasses with headphones. I mean, stupid, dumb. I hate it. I will never buy, and then I would have to buy a new TV too, because I'm pretty sure mine isn't compatible. So I say if it's a special for entertainment format that you're going out to a movie theater and you're seeing, and it's a good quality, and they provide you the service, thumbs up. Doing it at home, it's dumb.
Agreed.
That's my thought.
That's Colin's agreement.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's akin kind of to motion controls, and that it's just so gimmicky. It just reeks of gimmick, And I don't think anyone really cares, I don't think anyone. I really don't think anyone cares. Like, it's interesting because it's new technology, but when it's finally implemented, it's the same thing with like Natal or whatever. Natal's interesting to talk about right now, but is anyone going to care when it comes out? Is anyone going to use it? I don't know. That's stupid.
So here's my thing is, okay, so watching Avatar, one thing that I thought was great about the film is, and the way that James Cameron shot it, is there is very, very little blatant use of 3D, right? So, if you go watch other stuff, there'll be a dude that like sticks the spear at the screen and waves it around for no reason other than it looks like, there was none of that in the movie. You'd see scenes where the gun would be kind of popping out of the screen, but had it not been in 3D, he would have shot the scene exactly the same anyway.
Yeah.
It was a legitimate camera view, right?
Yeah.
And what I thought was awesome is, the show like scenes of a lab where people are in there working or whatever, or it's much more apparent when stuff's close to the screen, right? There were some screens, there's some scenes where people are having conversations and they're just sitting around. And in those, and things with the lab or whatever, there's just an incredible amount of depth to the picture, right? It's kind of a subtle thing, and if you're expecting it to be in your face and you're dodging your head out of the way, that's not the case. But if you're looking at the screen, it looks like you're somewhat at least like in the scene with these people, or it looks like that and
sure.
It was pretty amazing, and part of it was because of how well it was shot.
The best thing, I think, that like the part where I was like, this is awesome, is when they had those holographic displays in the office part of their corporation.
Yeah, and it pans by them.
And it would go by, and like these people were like doing like typical sort of Minority Report, like controlling it in the air. But it looked so cool. It looked so rad.
So that's my thing it's scenery stuff, right? That stands out, or or they'd be having the camera go through the Pandora, and you'd see leaves and stuff coming by the side of the screen, and it would look like you're kind of in the thing a little bit. And that kind of gets messed up because as it goes to the side, then your eyes are becoming more dominant on that part of your picture, and then the effect doesn't work as much. But the thing is that if it's shot correctly and it's not used in a very flagrant way, and it's used as sort of an environmental thing to make the scene look deeper, it can be awesome. And I think that there will be some people who treat it well and use it properly to set up scenes and focus a camera in 3D that will make it look awesome. I could fully expect to play, if it's done correctly, play The Last Guardian and see some absolutely amazing shots where it's set up and the 3D just completely shines on it. You're overlooking like a giant vista and everything, and it looks like it's actually deep into the screen. I think that could be awesome. But on the other hand, you're going to play a lot of games from a lot of shooters and stuff, and they're going to have explosions trying to go off in your face, and it's going to not look right, and it's not going to work. So, I mean, for me, my take on the whole thing is that, if I ever am a billionaire and I buy my own house and I build my own house and all this kind of stuff, and I set up a dedicated theater in my basement, I'm going to have 3D there. Yeah. It's going to be the sort of thing where I'm like, tonight I'm going to watch this movie, I'm going to go down and turn my 3D on. In my living room, I don't care, because that's where I'm going to be watching Seinfeld reruns while I'm working, and I'm not going to,
Yeah.
So I mean, if
Seinfeld in 3D, oh man, Kramer comes out of the door.
Yeah,
it's like he's in your room.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think that it's great for your side theater, right? You have a whole setup dedicated to it.
Yeah.
But as part of your only thing, and that's how you're going to be watching all the time, it's not going to work.
Also, let me just say, when are we gonna stop and just enjoy what we have and kind of
Never.
it's just kind of strange to me because. For instance, on New Year's, I'm a big Twilight Zone buff, and on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day every year, Sci-Fi has a 36-hour, Twilight Zone marathon or whatever. And this show is shot in grainy 4:3 in black and white, but it's still some of the best TV ever. It still tells some of the best stories ever. It's still some of the most riveting stuff I've ever seen. And it's would Avatar be? I haven't seen it, and I can't comment. I'm sure it's a great movie. James Cameron does obviously great stuff, but did it really need the 3D treatment? Do these things really need 3D treatments? Do these things, we already have, people don't even have HD TVs yet,
Right.
and we're already moving to the next thing,
No, so if you want to compare 3D vision with the last major step in movie making, which for me, people might argue with this, but the last major step I would think would be 3D graphics, especially realistic ones. Starting with Terminator 2. And kind of going on where you can have Lord of the Rings could not have been done properly without 3D graphics, right?
Right.
And so there movies are made now that could not have possibly been done before. 3D, no, you don't need it. It's just a thing that's
it's an ancillary.
It can enhance the your experience or whatever, and I think that's great, but it is definitely not necessary.
Right.
I think now you basically can do whatever you want in movies given the budget and time for it. But 3D, is not necessary for that.
Right. I mean, that was just my point. Is that I guess it's just disappointing that we can't, with a movie. I'm not one of those guys that sees a movie I'm not going to go see 2012 in the theater because I want to see big explosion stuff. I want a good story. I want good acting. I want a riveting plot.
So you shouldn't watch 2012.
Yeah. And it's the same. It's the same thing with games too. 3D gaming I guess sounds cool and stuff, but at the same time, have you seen Uncharted 2? That game's beautiful. How much more beautiful do we need a video game to look before it looks totally real? And then is it even, I kind of feel like we're going to start bordering soon on this bizarre era in gaming where everything is going to start looking super real and we're not going to really dig it anymore. We're going to wish we didn't maybe push the envelope so much.
And then Mega Man 11 comes out.
Yeah, Mega Man 11. It's just it's an escape. I don't need to push it so far. I don't need this 3D stuff. I don't, I don't know. It's just frustrating to me.
See, what I'm waiting for is fully surrounding you holographic displays.
Yeah,
so it projects the world around you, and you're sitting there in the middle of it. I think that would be a game changer. Looking at a 2D screen with depth to an image is cool, but it's not,
Right. I don't know. It frustrates me, but maybe that's just me. I don't know.
But see, that's the cool thing about that, Colin, is that there will always be people like you, and they will always celebrate the stuff that came before it, which is exactly why Mega Man 9 and 10 are coming out. We are so far beyond that technology and beyond, and yet people like you are still going back and loving that stuff.
People like you.
Yes.
My most anticipated game of the year.
Yeah,
Mega
exactly.
Man 10.
That's what I'm saying. There's always going to be stuff like that. If we get hyper 4D time bending TVs, we'll still be like, man, remember those normal HD TVs we had? I have one hooked up in my kitchen or something. I don't know.
They had it right at the Sega Saturn, and they should have stopped there.
Just ended Sega Saturn.
Yeah.
That's
Like there should have been no consoles after
correct,
that.
yeah.
All right.
They should, using Colin's method here, they shouldn't have kept going.
I'm
We
not
had it
saying that
right.
we don't advance. I'm just saying
Independence Day on Sega
I
Saturn,
don't
best
know.
game of all time.
I think that the more technological we get, the more minor changes have become until you really do have to make a massive jump to something like motion control or to something like 3D. I guess that's kind of the point I'm making or whatever. And I was happy with the Saturn era, not the Saturn necessarily, but the NES is still my favorite console of all time. So maybe I'm just old school like that, and I certainly am probably in the minority in the way I feel about that. But to each his own.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Let's get to some reader mail.
Reader mail.
Hello, readers.
First piece of mail comes from JCho123, and he's asking about. He is 15 years old.
Oh no.
All right, and his dad won't let him play games online.
Oh no.
Here's the thing: his dad he is allowed to go online and download content, so he can buy games. He can go on the PlayStation Network. You can go on the PlayStation Store and get demos and games and stuff. But his dad does not allow him to go on and play, shooters and stuff with other people because he thinks that the PS3 could get a virus.
That is
And
funny.
he wants to know
That
if this
very
is
funny.
possibly true.
No, it is not
No.
true. That's not true at all. Tell your dad to listen to this.
Yes.
Hey, Dad, it's Greg Miller, IGN editor at large, who's awesome. PlayStation 3 cannot get some kind of crazy computer virus. Don't worry about it. Especially because you're only going to be... You're not. There's no peer-to-peer content kind of thing going on there. You're not like, I can't upload a file that you're downloading without Sony going... Like, you couldn't upload a little Big Planet level with a virus
It's all
in
completely
it.
controlled content.
Yeah.
So, yeah. No, you're fine.
Yeah.
Keep doing this, Dad, and he's going to run away. because I'm going to tell him to. You shouldn't let him listen to this podcast. I give out terrible advice on this podcast all the time.
Zoe B writes in.
Stab your dad.
She says he has a question about Mag. Greg, you were playing the beta yesterday. He wants to know. So when you play the game and you sign up, you create a character and you pick one of the 3 factions.
Correct.
He wants to know. Can you create more than one?
Yes.
Because
you can create multiple profiles and have them in different factions and do all sorts of crazy stuff. And even though it's not I've been following Mag extensively. I'm not our lead guy on it or anything. And like when I initially talked to them about it, they originally said, I believe, that you're going to be locked into what you choose, but along the lines there might be things pop up where you could Valor's recruiting or something goofy like that, where you could exchange teams. But pretty much your character's, I think, locked to what you make.
Right, but you can make multiple characters.
You could have a character in every faction if you wanted to.
Zuba writes in. So last one was Zoe B. Now it's Zuba. He writes in. He has a question about Blu-ray, and he's saying that PS3 was big on Blu-ray, and that's a buy it because he's got Blu-ray and all that kind of stuff. And he's saying Uncharted 2 aside, which doesn't exactly apply to his question here, really, because you'll see what I mean here. He's saying he's wondering if there's really any games that take advantage of the additional space on the disc. He was listening to Ryan talk about the washed-out textures on Bayonetta, and he says, are we condemned to wait until the PS3 overtakes the 360 before we see Blu-ray being used to its capacity by third-party devs? Now, before we answer the part about the storage space on the drive, let me say that the problem with washed-out textures, like on Bayonetta, is poor programming on texture memory, right? You can have 50 gigs of space on there, and you can have one giant 50 gig texture for a wall that would be like a 100 megapixel image or whatever the hell, but the RAM will not let you hold it, right? If you don't use the RAM correctly and you can't store the textures and you have to downscale them because you're running out of RAM space or whatever, then you're going to get low res stuff that's blurry. Guys like Naughty Dog and you look at Polyphony and all these kind of guys, Insomniac, they know how to use memory correctly on the PS3. That's all they do. They've come up with crazy ways to blow people's minds, and now their textures look great because they've used it well. Being whatever it is, streaming or whatever the hell they're doing there. But the problem with Bayonetta is poor programming. In terms of space, I mean, look at Metal Gear Solid 4. I mean, there's lots of games that take up way more space than would fit on a DVD. Final Fantasy 13, I'm sure, is going to... I don't know if they've...
I think it's on multiple 360 discs here.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of games that do that, so...
Resistance 2 took up a lot of space with Awesome on the disc. No?
No.
I tried.
Let's let a space open. Yeah.
But remember, there's a difference between disk space and RAM. So, Nishant writes in...
To answer his other question, no. Even if the PS3 overtakes it, you're not going to see people taking advantage of Blu-ray.
No, that's true.
It's the same thing. I mean, why make a third-party game, make it an awesome Blu-ray disc, and then put out 7 Xbox 360 discs? It sucks.
Yeah.
Sony dropped the ball. Made a system too powerful. Thought everybody would buy it. Thought they'd be powerful again. Look what happened. Good job, everybody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to answer that question, basically, is if you look at first-party stuff versus third-party stuff that's cross-platform, the first-party stuff looks better, or exclusive games look better in almost every instance. The AAA exclusive stuff looks almost better in almost every single instance. Nishant says he was interested in Bayonetta since it looks crazy. However, in the review, Ryan says the PS3 version suffers from long load times and slowdown. Now, he hates long load times with a passion, but is the rest of the game good enough to overlook these issues? And this is the question I believe that I was waiting for.
This is the really hard one for me. This was hard for me to do because Bayonetta was one of my favorite games I've played in a very long time. And if you are gonna get a 360 at some point, if you already own one, there is absolutely no justification to get Bayonetta on the PS3. There's not. I don't care how big of a trophy whore you are. No. I don't care. It does not. You are actually denying yourself a phenomenal experience. Now, the PS3 version, does it technically run from what I've seen? Yes. Can you play it? Yeah. The problem is that the slowdown is so bad in certain sections that it's actually starting to just hurt the experience. What's more is that anytime you pause, anytime it's loading anything. I mean, I've never seen a game take a long time to load a pause menu, but it does. It's just totally absurd. And I don't know if you can handle that sort of thing, and you think you'd still want to check out the game. The game is so phenomenal. That core experience is amazing. But man, having to wait 5 seconds just to pause a cutscene is the dumbest thing I think I've seen in gaming in a long time. It's very disappointing. I would actually say that if you don't own a 360 already, there's a lot of other good 360 games to play. Buy a 360 and then buy Bayonetta.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, that's a downer. What did you give it on PS3?
Like an 8.2.
But the 360 got a 9.5.
9.5. Yeah.
Did you play? That just reminds me of a Chrono Trigger on PlayStation. Did you play that bad port?
No.
I don't know. It just reminds me of one. It was on Final Fantasy Anthology or whatever. It just, your review reminded me of that because you would go to the menu and you'd always have to go to the menu, and it would take like 10 seconds for it to happen.
Even if you're in Bayonetta, when you open up the main menu and there's tabs like weapons, items, notes, that sort of thing, map. You have to, when you press a bumper or the R1 or L1 or whatever, and you go to the tab, it like takes a couple seconds just to load that tab of a menu. It's text. It's text and a few pictures. Dear God, that's embarrassing, man. That's totally unacceptable for a game that's that good to let it fall that far. I mean, the gameplay is all still awesome and stuff. It's just, with all that slowdown, it's so depressing.
That's a bummer, dude.
Yeah, major bummer.
Moving on, Alec writes in and he says, since many movies are now being made using 3D to prevent piracy, do you think this stupid trend will make its way into the game industry? We've already talked about this. It's been announced for a long time. Avatar, the game has already been in 3D. Sony hasn't come. It's coming to. I don't know how you missed the fact that it's coming to games, but so far as I know, 3D has nothing to do with preventing piracy whatsoever. I don't know how.
Well, you have to put in that third dimension.
Right.
You can copy the 2, but the third, that's
You
the one
think
that
the
gets you.
That's a wash.
You think the 3 dimensions is impossible to copy?
Pretty much. That's what I've heard.
No, it has nothing to do with piracy. So
maybe it means that you would have to then buy the glasses, which might deter people from downloading it.
But there's no way that they're going to release a movie on Blu-ray and not have a 2D version of it.
Yeah, I know.
So it doesn't matter.
Plus companies are doing a lot of anti-piracy stuff on their own. I mean, IDOS with Arkham Asylum was totally broken if you downloaded it, and
really?
and Microsoft just banned like 1 million people or something on Xbox. So be aware, pirates.
Alvin,
play by the rules, pirates.
Yeah,
That's all.
seriously.
Alvin, perhaps from the Chipmunks, we don't know. He was wondering what developer we would choose to work for if we could pick anybody. Personally, he said that he would work for Insomniac or Kojima.
I'd go to Sucker Punch.
Yeah?
Be part of Infamous 2, 3, 4, and Infamous Kart Racing.
Infamous kart racing. Oh man, why am I the only one that laughed at that? That was brilliant. Really, Roper, Colin? It was not that funny.
Sorry,
you guys.
sorry. No, it was good. It was good.
Yeah.
I'm coming off my break slump. Getting back in the.
I thought it was fine, Greg. Don't justify it. They're the ones that
they're
are being
wrong.
ruined.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
For me, I would probably choose either Criterion, just because I love their over-the-top stuff, or Sony Santa Monica. For the fact that, I love God of War, although they might be done making God of Wars after God of War 3. But Santa Monica also, the studio in general, also sees a lot of the stuff coming out of Japan coming in there. So it's a win-win, I guess, being on that side. But I think either one of those places would be great to work for. Or Valve. But Colin?
I guess there's two. I mean, my love of old school Mega Man games would make me go to Capcom. If I could write a story for a new Mega Man game, like a real Mega Man game that everyone wants because everyone hates 8-bit graphics for some reason, that would be cool. And Insomniac, because I love this story in Resistance so much that it would be cool to be, maybe they would give you some time and space to be able to write another great story for another great shooter or game and stuff like that. And Sucker Punch is another good one, obviously with Infamous, but yeah, I would go with Insomniac, I think.
Justin,
that's fine. You don't have to ask me. Whatever.
Oh no, sorry. I thought you said you said something, and I thought you gave an answer. What's your
No, that
answer?
was me bantering with Greg.
So what do you got?
I would honestly, I would do that game company probably because they have very similar tastes to mine.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
They seem like really every person I've talked to in that company has been so nice. So, yeah.
Fine choice. Justin writes in, and here's another 3D question. But this is a good
Do I
one.
have to put on glasses to read it?
No. So this is a good one. He says he's been noticing the hype about 3D and stuff like that. However, he can't see out of one of his eyes. He's only got vision out of one of his eyes. So he's never been able to see 3D movies, 3D books, those images or anything like that.
Does he wear an eye patch?
I don't know. He doesn't mention that. Video games. I mean, you could have a glass eye. It could be like the thing that comes out. You know, it'd be
Send
kind of
us a
awesome.
picture, Justin.
He says video games, at least when it comes to normal 3D, look like real life to him. I don't know if it's the depth thing or whatever. He doesn't explain that. He says, is there a big difference between normal and 3D video games? And if so, how would you describe it? I kind of already described in the topic of the week how Avatar looks, and from what we've seen of 3D games, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
It's basically the same. You're not missing
There's
anything.
depth of field. That's it.
I would say, buddy, you're not missing much, so don't worry about it. Don't sweat it.
Yeah, you're not going to be, Bradley Sneezer says, do you think it would be practical for Insomniac to make a Ratchet and Clank Collector's Edition of all the PS2 games? I'm assuming he's talking about a collection like the God of War collection.
Trophies.
Yeah, there could be that. He says there's a fairly big discussion on the Insomniac community forums. He was wondering what the input would be. First off, if they released a collection of all the Ratchet games, it would be a crazy value. Unless they charge like $200 for it. But, if it's a regular priced game, even if it's $60 or, God of War collection's $40.
You're getting 4 games,
Yeah,
right?
you still get it crazy. Even if it's just the PS2 stuff and doesn't include, any of the futures or whatever. Still, that would be an awesome value.
Yeah.
The problem is that what I would assume is that there's, I don't know how difficult it was for Blue Point to work with Santa Monica to get God of War going on there, but maybe it's a guess, but that Ratchet and Clank might be more of a process to bring each game over to the PS3. I don't know if that was the case or not, but it seems like it would be a fairly large undertaking for that. it would obviously be great, but
yeah, I think Insomniac would probably pay attention to the God of War collection's sales to maybe get some indications on if it would be worth it for them to bring their own collection out. And I don't think God of War sold more than 200,000 copies, maybe. So the God of War collection. So
we have it. Yeah,
in November, right? So
yeah, but it was only out for part of that.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what the numbers were there, but anyway, the other thing too was that the God of War collection was fantastic timing for it, not because there had been no God of War on PS3 yet.
Yeah.
Right. So you're still waiting for 3. You're excited about it. You're like, man, I want to kill things again. And then you're like, ooh, this can tie me over perfectly. I can go through the games again, get ready. You already have, counting the downloadable game, 3 Ratchet games on the PS3. Right. So I don't know. I don't think it would be as big of a deal as God of War was, but it would certainly be very good. William writes in, last question I have here, he says, what do you think will warrant the creation of the PlayStation 4? He says, as the PS3 seems to be the pinnacle of hardware technology with HD support and the ability to run 3D games.
Colin's not happy with this question.
No, if I hear something about 3D games again, I'm going to lose my mind. I think the PlayStation 4 is probably already in development, but...
Well, that's 100%. That's given.
Yeah.
They're not going to sit there for a couple of years and then at the end go, wait a minute, we got to start making a console.
Based on they might not. I mean, based on their original plan, they might not. Might be working on it until 2012 or something like that because it was supposed to be viable until 2016. So.
Well, in the same way, PS2 is viable until right now. I mean, that's their plans. I mean, there's something to be said for not doing. The problem is that then you're an old console if you don't, the general consumer wouldn't understand that the Xbox 720's out, but the PS3's still out, and they're comparable, in what they do. You know what I mean? People wouldn't understand that. They would think the PS3 is obviously weaker. I don't know what Sony's play is here. I honestly don't know what you do next. I would think, honestly, you make a weaker system than the PS3. Something that'll be cheap coming out of the gate, something that will be easy to make people port from one to the other, because Xbox has got this huge lead now, and who knows what they're going to do with
closing.
it next.
It's not the best.
Maybe not weaker, but maybe they'll do minor refinements, but make it a lot cheaper.
Well, so now here's the thing: is first off, my prediction now for the official. Last year I predicted that.
Oh, we need
hear some news. Yeah, we need. We
should do that next show. We should do that next week's topic of the week.
We'll do predictions.
Our 3.
I think that E3 next year is when the consoles will be announced and they'll come out in that fall.
Oh wow,
so
really?
I think they'll come out at the end of 2011 or beginning of 12, but I think end of 2011.
I don't want to buy another system.
Me neither.
Anyway, I think it'll come that because both company or somebody will do it because somebody's going to want to be first to market. And I think it'll do that. I think 2012 might be a little bit too long, especially since the Xbox came out in 2005. 5. Okay. Anyway, for the PS4 to be cheaper initially than the PS3 was, because $500 or $600, Sony was running against Blu-ray tech, which was brand new.
Yeah.
Cell brand new. They were trying to put all these things in there that never existed before, assuming that the PS4 either still uses Blu-ray disc, or they just announced that they added like 8 gigs to space or whatever, or they can go multiple layers. Blu-ray is supposed to do like 200 gigs or something, with like 8 layers or whatever the hell it is. Anyway, so assuming they use some variant in the Blu-ray, or it goes to only downloadable content, which is a mistake right now.
Yeah.
And that they keep using the cell, but a better version of it or whatever. All that tech is now evolutionary rather than revolutionary, right? So it won't be as crazy of a investment or whatever. Blu-ray it doesn't exist now. It exists. The very first part of it was very expensive. Same thing for the cell. They were using the very first stuff off the line. Basically, that was very expensive. Now they're going to go. When we get there, say the cell's running at 4 gigahertz, they're like, we'll take the 3. You know what I mean? They don't have to have the bleeding edge, because they have an option there as opposed to the only thing available. And then, so I don't think it'll be as bad. And I think Sony knows now that they can't come out with a $600 console. They got to step it back a little bit.
Yeah.
But what will warrant the creation of the PS4 is sales. Microsoft and Sony are both going to try to outdo themselves and have the better console. So they, for both companies, they would hope that their timing is the same. Nobody wants to be second anymore. And you can do, granted, the PS3 looks great, but you can do a lot more. Lighting can look way better than it does now. You look at some of the stuff from baked lighting and scenes, you can do that in real time. Water physics and things like that, particle systems can get way, way better than they are now. There's a lot of stuff missing that can be happening just with raw horsepower that's going to be added. In terms of, are the games going to get any better gameplay-wise? No. They're probably going to be give or take the same, but you'll see better scenes that look more realistic. PS4 will probably look like, the next Xbox will probably be at or around the level of movies, Hollywood movies, at least in some scenes, static scenes at least. So
here's my sad question for you, Roper. With your timetable for new console releases, have we seen the final Uncharted on PS3 already? Is Uncharted 3 a launch title for PS4?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
That'll be interesting.
Your comments depress me. I don't want another console. I don't want to do this.
Yeah,
maybe it'll be 2012, but I think that it'll. I don't know. I think that I think it would be risky for both Microsoft and especially Sony to wait that long and hope the other one doesn't make a move first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's imperative Microsoft makes a move first, though. Their console's older. It's not as it's not as powerful, so they're definitely going to, I think, make their move first. I think even Nintendo is going to release a console.
Well, Nintendo will just do some sort of minor update. And it still won't look as good as the 360 or PS3. And so,
no, of course not. Wii HD with like a viable online community is probably going to be there.
No.
Their next step.
Online.
I think they realize that
they could finally add DVD support.
Yeah.
And then they'd be up.
Put some DVDs on.
They'd match the PS2 finally.
Oh my God, it's so embarrassing.
It really is.
Anyway, that's the end of Reader Mail for the week. Let's see here. PSN Hit of the Week. Ryan, do you have any of your Facebook friends writing in?
I do, unless we have anybody else.
Go for it.
So I
don't bother ever taking it anymore because you always got somebody writing.
I got it. Hit of the week, my final attempt is the message that I got in my Facebook inbox. This is from Emmett. Emmett, I think this might have been one of the guys that sent you a desperate plea for a Facebook attempt but forgot to put his PSN in there.
Okay.
So he says, here I am sitting here watching Sony CES conference, which you said was boring, right?
Pretty terrible.
Oh, man. And everyone is yelling Beyond in the little Facebook chat sidebar, which reminds me how I wanted to be Hit of the Week so bad, but forgot to put my PSN name in the message. So now I come to you all in the name of Beyond, requesting once again to be Hit of the Week. This guy really wants to be Hit of the Week. His name is Emmett. I'm pretty sure Emmett is a guy's name.
Dr. Emmett Brown.
The PSN ID is EJ Sponge 61. EJ Sponge 61. No hyphens or anything. And you can get Emmett on. Let's see. Oh, he doesn't list
Is his
any of
last
the
name
particular
Brown?
No, it is not. Sorry.
Smith?
Anyway, yes. So there you are, Emmett. Your PSN Hit of the Week wishes have been fulfilled just in time for 2010. Greg, would you like to do this one again, or should we save it? We're going to save it?
We got to save it.
So all I have to say to that is PSN it confirmed.
Nicely done.
Can I just say something real quick, too?
Sure.
I still get PSN messages and some Facebook messages asking me to make them Hit of the Week. I am still a guest on this podcast. You must get in touch with Ryan Clements. I cannot make you Hit of the Week. I'm sorry. So get in touch with Ryan Clements. He'll take care of you.
I'll take care of you guys.
Yeah. Do we have any updates from Beast or anything else like that?
We have one of the community guys wrote in to me kindly. Smokey90 wrote in. He says, "Hey, Clement, sorry to bug you, but the winner of the Modern Warfare 2 IGN PS3 Lobby Community Challenge, that's a long title,
that's a hell of a name,
was iPwn Fools. The Modern Warfare 2 Community Challenge consisted of a search and destroy match, team deathmatch, domination, and demolition. The player with the highest score over the 4 matches was declared the winner, and again, that person was iPwn Fools from the PS3 Lobby. Thank you, Smokey90. You are not a bother. I appreciate the update in the absence of Beast.
Smokey90.
If you would like to play with other IGN users, just ask people on the IGN boards, and they will hook you up, and you all have a good time and play digital games. It'll be great. It'll be a good
I
time.
want to play analog games.
Analog games? Well, I meant like digital download games, but then
saying.
I realized that
Digital download games.
play some board games.
you could play. Oh man, board games. I want to play a good board game.
Axis and Allies,
I
bro.
haven't played a good board game in a while.
Monopoly.
Everybody in my when I was in college, everybody in my college loved Settlers of Catan. Is that what it's
Oh,
called?
yeah.
Settlers.
Sam was just telling me about that game.
Yeah,
Sandwiches.
No, Sam. Not Sam Bishop.
Sam
But Sam
Claiborne.
Claiborne.
Oh, okay.
His name is Sandwiches?
His name was Sandwiches. Yeah, he was telling me about sandwiches.
For all you Beyond listeners, Sam Claiborne is one of the fantastic editors on the guides team.
Yes.
Along with
I never heard of that
Colin
game
here.
because I'm a strategy board game nerd.
Oh,
and I never.
Settlers? You've never heard of Oh man.
No,
you
just playing Axis and Allies and Shogun and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Very nice.
That, I think, brings us to the end of the show.
End of the
Anything
show.
else to add from anybody?
Do the housekeeping rope.
Housekeeping is, if you have not done it, or do it again, I don't know if it counts now, go on iTunes and rate us on there.
Yep.
Follow us on Twitter at IGN.com. There's no dot in there. Send us reader mail at beyond@ign.com.
We have the official Facebook fan page, IGN.com. There's the dot there.
Yeah.
We were able to secure a dot.
Isn't that just facebook.com/IGN?
yeah,
I think it's what it is.
Can we do
Anyway,
that?
Yeah.
I think it's
When it comes up in my search bar, it's IGN.com. But
Sure,
I guess
put
you
that
could
in there then.
yeah,
Try them all.
do
One
it.
of them works.
Become a fan.
You got to
We actually do have a very active official Facebook page.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Scott is on there all the time.
Yeah.
Putting stuff up. So if you're interested in seeing kooky videos of the IGN editors, that's the place to go.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
That's the end of the show. Ryan, what do we got for music here?
Man, I do all the ending announcements now, don't I? It's crazy. I know, but I'm just saying it's funny because all my talking happens in the last 10th of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
interesting.
we leave there. I get tired.
Okay.
And then I just
know,
kind of
I want
start
to jump
sleeping.
in and help. All right, so this CD was sent to me a long time ago, and I keep forgetting that it was in our possession when we were trying to pick songs. Tony Washington, or Anthony Washington, as he is more formally called, sent in one of his CDs, sent in a bunch of them, actually, so we could hand them out to people. He's a big podcast listener, and he made a CD, I believe, the sort of overarching, label that he's kind of going for, the sort of story that he's trying to tell, is part of the Stations Stories line. And this particular CD is called New World. So I think the group of CDs or the group of music he's trying to do is called Station Stories. But I wanted to do a track off of this album and thank Tony for sending in the music. Everybody should check him out. Again, his name is Tony Washington or Anthony Washington. I don't know what's more easily searchable, Googleable. But Station Stories,
Google
New
yes.
World. Let's hear one of the tracks from there. I don't know which one I'm going to play yet, so yeah, it'll be a nice surprise for you.
It's
guys.
one of them. You know
It
what
is
that
one of
does?
them.
If you don't know what the track is, that means when you go
have to
online
buy
to
the
preview,
album.
you buy it, or when you go into preview, you got to listen to all of them until you find it.
Exactly.
And then you hear
It's
more.
like a hunt. It's
Yep.
like a
I'm
fun
talking about.
goose chase.
Come on and let the hunt be the hunted.
Okay, that was good.
Beyond!
Beyond!